Alright, we'll see if we can get this thing functioning. View. Out. Pop out chat. Alright. Okay. Live. Alright, seems like we're live. So, the stream looks good. Alright. That looks good. Good enough. Alright. So hopefully we got that sorted out. So we're going to continue testing on our 401 to 600 goal group. Hey Jake, how's it going? I want to finish this set of testing. This is the last bit of testing I need to do on my infantry set to bring it up to where it feels a little bit better. The testing we added to the 400 under gold, I think, did a really good job of stratifying the units the way that I wanted, and they look a little bit more sensible compared to what I know from my testing. And I think this is going to do a similar job for this 401 to 600 gold set as well. So the next set of testing we have is Great Swords versus Aspiring Champions. Aspiring Champions are a unit that finished very, very high in this. Hey, Abe. Finished very, very high in this testing because of the way that I tested. I didn't have any really armor-piercing infantry, so the Greatsword should absolutely crush the Aspiring Champions. Whoops. Okay, where we go? There we go. Because the Inspiring Champions, they're an interesting little unit. They only have 12 models, and I don't think they do a whole lot of splash damage, they can be weak to even minors, which is weird. But any armor-piercing infantry that can do any kind of damage, so the Greatsword should really crush them. But they're actually good at clearing trash by themselves. You know, they do have silver shields and good armor and magical damage and vanguard deployment. So they are an interesting unit, sort of a niche pick in the Chaos lineup, I think. So we're to the defenders. We are on UT Fields. So let's go and get that data going. And yeah, there's a lot of units in this group 401 to 600 gold, so this testing will take a little bit longer, but the Great Swords kill things pretty fast, so that won't take too long. Abe, watching your last vid, Dwarfs versus Bretonia, and I have to say something. Damn, I forgot how bad the leadership of Bretonia is. That's true. That is true, Abe. Bretonia struggles on the leadership side. And just the very end, Jake, yeah, that was amazing. The very end when it was just... the Fey Enchantress tanking the rest of the dwarf army. A really, really fun game. Okay, so we'll see here. And boom. So 50. Let's just double check. Are we at 50? Yeah. Copy. Do we have the right date? We sure do. All right. So this should be very devastating. Very quick. The Great Swords are losing some health. Well, the Inspiring Champions not doing as bad as I thought they would do. We'll see where they end up. I mean, I think they're going to get absolutely demolished in terms of value, because this is their worst case scenario for the Aspiring Champions. 58-14. They lasted a while. 58-14. 96 seconds. Great Swords 50-28. 28, and the Aspiring Champions 475. Yep, Great Swords pulled 200 gold off of them. That is the most so far out of any unit. That's going to drag the Aspiring Champions down a lot. Oh, excuse me. I think the same is going to happen with the Dwarf Warriors. Just the regular Dwarf Warriors. All right. Which they were very high. Regular Dwarf Warriors are great at clearing out trash, but they're very slow at it. Jake, all online battles, uploader awesome. Thanks, Jake. You know what? I know, right? You know what? I just love all dwarf matches. I love them all. I was talking to Grumpy Guard this morning, and before I got on, and he watched this match too and really liked it. And I mean, I just like everything dwarf. I don't like seeing the dwarfs lose, but I mean, I'll put up my losses and put up my wins, but most people who send me videos are going to send me wins, though not all, interestingly enough. I do have a good dwarf game where they lose sent in. So, anyways, that was a huge victory by the Greatsword. So we'll keep this train rolling. Yeah, 155 kills with the comet spells, Jake. I mean, that was a crazy game. Hey, Gabba, how's it going? Interesting. The Fey Enchantress was so good, so good. Okay, let me get this going. All right. Yeah, this looks like a little more crushing right now, actually. This looks like what I expected in the first match. Boom. Yeah, 58-57. Much shorter, much more crushing. 58-57. And the Greatsword's finished with 58-53. 53. And the Aspiring Champions finished with 683. Oh my god, this is going to be brutal. 262 gold. Wow. 297 gold per minute. Crazy. Okay. Rematch. Jake, Dowie losing will tear me up physically and mentally, Sue. And you know what? That's why we have a book where we put all the bad things. It helps keep us sane. Yeah, I do like the intro, Jake, because it is Thorgrim himself talking about settling grudges. You know, I could listen to that intro a million times. I just love it. Ooh, that was very fast as well. 58-52. This is going to be pretty brutal. 58-52. Greatswords. 55-23. I think the Inspiring chances, there's a good chance the Aspiring Champions are going to finish dead last. A very good chance, because where did Greatswords versus Battle Pilgrims? Men-at-Arms with Polearms, yeah. Men-at-Arms with Polearms, 155 gold, and the Battle Pilgrims, 161. This is like 202, 262. And what on this one? We got 590. 240 gold. Wow, there's the... Looks like your champions are going to finish dead last in this matchup, which isn't really a surprise because I've done other testing on the Aspiring Champions, but we'll keep going. So rematch. Gabba, life is wonderful every time I see grudges being repaid. I agree. It does warm my dowie heart. Yeah. Oh, is this going to last a little longer? Looks like they got... Nope. Looks like the Aspiring Champions sort of, if they make it to a certain level, they level up and they can make it another 30 seconds, but not here. 58-47. 58-47. And Greatswords, 59-67. Yeah, 59-67, and the Aspiring Champions 619. 619. Okay, and one more battle. Whoops. Rematch. Gabba, also Fey Enchantress was crazy in the Bretonnian battle. Is she supposed to be that strong? I don't know, Gabba. I mean, I couldn't believe it. How good she was doing. Like it was just like literally tanking the whole freaking army at the end. She was all by herself. So how she wasn't getting debuffed from being surrounded and having no army left on the entire field, I mean, I don't even know. But I'll say that was impressive and scary because, you know, with Bretonnia, King Lewin will be pretty popular as a dwarf, and I've had a game against King Lewin up on the channel, but the Fey Enchantress is obviously better, and that's not even close. She is way better than King Lewin, and from what I'm seeing, you know, if that army had a little more capability to deal with the gyros, you know, it would have been a different story, a very different story. So 58-41. But the gyros, I love the way the gyros were used in the beginning, and like the kind of the way that battle played out was really fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. 5379. And who was I talking to? Just the idea that gyrocopters are sort of coming more into the game means that other armies have to prepare for them, because if they have no answer, it's pretty devastating. And if other armies are also have to prepare for gyros, that makes every other Dowie build better. If they don't have gyros or do. Imagine Ironbreaker's damage output was high as their defense. Oh my god, Jake, that'd be crazy. Ironbreakers are such a good unit in terms of value. The problem with them is it takes them so long to extract it. But they pull a ton of value. Okay, here we go. Aspiring Champions, 501. So, 247 gold. Almost 100 gold more than the next highest. That's crazy. And the Inspiring Champions are gonna... And the gold per minute is even higher. Jiminy crickets. Those Aspiring Champions are going to definitely come down. Okay, so the Bleak Swords are next. So Aspiring Champions, let's just check. 2376. What are they? 2376. Yeah, okay. In that battle. And we're going to go get the Bleak Swords. Jake. Yes, Turn just uploaded a Dowie versus Chaos match. Did he? Oh, man, I need to go watch it. Gaba, you need Thorgrim for elite units. Jake, Thorgrim's buffs are great. I agree. Like, Gaba, I think that Thorgrim and elite units in that build is going to be more popular. And Shetland Apache was using it. There's another Shetland Apache game that showed up on Janet of Occasion's channel, and I think he had Thorgrim in that build. But again, these elite Dowie builds, really the so-called Dowie Death Star, is really, really strong. So thematic when he fights alongside his hammers. I know. It's just beautiful, actually, to watch. I really, really liked Grumpy Guard's game. And, I like them all. Who am I kidding? I like every game. I like every Dowie game. All of them. Okay, so let's go to Dark Elves. And we said, what? We have Bleak Swords. Let's just double check with Bleak Swords. It is Bleak Swords, 5670 health. 5670 health. Okay, so Bleak Swords. Bleak Swords it is. We'll start that battle. Yeah, fighting alongside the hammers, and more so the Peak Gate Guard. I know a Grumpy Guard, we were kind of having a conversation, and he was saying, well, maybe the Peak Gate Guard is not the very best. They're a little expensive for what they do, but it is so thematic and so fun to watch. I mean, I loved watching that battle. I loved casting it. I loved the gyro play. I loved everything about it, to be honest. We'll see how the Bleak Swords do. The Bleak Swords should do all right. Well, maybe not. Thorgrim and Peak Gate Guard combo is brutal. Yeah, because the thing is, Peak Gate Guard debuff things for Thorgrim to hit, because he doesn't have he has armor piercing, but not a whole lot. So 5816, 5816, and this will be 50 gold, or sort of 50 seconds. Greatsword's finished with 50-50, and Bleak Sword's finished with 1084. So we got what, 128 gold? Oh, okay, that's a lot. Wow, that's more than I expected. Thorgrim, K-Pub, hey K-Pub. Gaba, the debuff making his AoE much more deadly. Yeah, I agree. It's this combination of those two skills that somehow you have to get in and kill Thorgrim from full health to no health, or you have to let him buff his whole army by +9 for the entire match. And he can go around and actually, he can kill infantry. He's pretty good against other infantry, and he has the magic damage. So you sort of got a choice when you're playing Thorgrim in that configuration. And really, the elite armies are really interesting. Now, true that it would be better if you could get off his map-wide buff on lower tier troops, because it's like dwarf warriors and miners and such. But even getting it off on the most elite troops is just fine, because hammers aren't immune to psychology, and neither are ironbreakers for whatever reason. I mean, game balance purposes, obviously, but Jake, PK Guard has the armor sunderings. Well, yeah, they do, Jake. And that's why they're very nice with that armor sundering in Thorgrim, because Thorgrim doesn't have armor piercing, so he actually works better with them, and they both have magic damage. Okay. Okay. Bleak swords, great swords. All right, bleak swords, great swords. Maybe the bleak sword didn't show up so high in the testing before. I can't remember, really, to be honest. I mean, you do see them like sort of a 2 of pick in a number of Dark Elf builds. 5809. Sometimes 4. Great swords 4776. That'll be a little better for the bleak swords. 1094. 92 gold, okay. That seems a little more reasonable. And a rematch. K-Pub, I do lab calibrations, and I've been thinking of Dowie numbers lately, trying to get a larger sample size and have better statistics. Thanks, man. Lab samples and lab calibrations. I mean, I've been around with labs my whole life, and do you have any third party in your lab, K-Pub? Because we have a third party watching our lab results all the time, and there's always, which is lab results are really fun, because they're whether it's the results, whether it's calibration, whether it's whatever, but looking at the statistics is actually always interesting to me, and because I love it. I do this on my own. I love doing statistics even when I'm not being paid for it. And it's really been fun these last couple of years. We have a very, very good lab manager who I really enjoy working with, because he's a statistics nerd like me. So we've done a lot of really great work in the past 2 years. So 5801. 5801. Oops. 1. Okay. And great swords, they finished 4552. Even better. Okay, so even better for the bleak swords. 1179. 179. 55 gold. I don't think the bleak swords are going to be able to pull positive gold off the great swords, and nor should they ever, but it looks like they're playing a little bit better. K-Pub, we are actually the ones watching a third party, but we have a third party investigate a dispute we have going on. Third party is so fun. It's so interesting, and the disputes you have, and they're all almost always meaning well, but usually, as you know, K-Pub, if you're dealing with third party, the disputes usually develop around a difference in opinion on what a standard means, and that's why some of the standards are open for interpretation, and that's where it tends to be, where the difficulty tends to stand. It's not always, but that's where I always find it. Yeah, we kind of just confirm the seller lab results for the buyer. Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense. So, and that's so you're kind of like a third party lab. So I know we send off our samples once in a while to third party labs to get a full, it's not really accreditation, but it's like a full validation of our plant results. So we do that periodically, like 2 or 3 times a year. 5811. 11. Okay. And 4962. Okay. 1145. Okay. Rematch. Abe, that ending with the feint chance, how did she hold up? I don't know, Abe. Every time I see it, I'm like, how did she not die? It is insane. She's literally all by herself. Literally all by herself. It is absolutely crazy. Gaba, fun fact: Thorgrim's axe in the tabletop used to have up to AP6, no armor, wound on D2 83, chance to wound D3 against all targets D6. So AP6. Oh, equals no armor. Well, because you got to think Thorgrim does have the ancestor god's axe, right? He has one of them, not both. So, like, that axe should be pretty crazy. But it's really, he obviously plays out as a lot more of a defensive tank in this and not that offensive. But you know, I honestly think, you know, most Dowie stuff should be armor piercing, but really armor of Skalder, yeah, like Thorgrim is pretty crazy. But you know, that's what a lot of the characters are pretty crazy in the lore, and you know, so 5806. 5806, Great Sword, 5130. 1121. All right, so they lost 104 gold. Not a great showing for the Bleak Swords. So let's go and save that result. We'll grab the Dread Spears in battle. In the Axe of Grimnir, yep. Abe, I mean, gyros aren't like the best in melee, but still should have routed to 2 units. You know, just being attacked in the back, Abe, I believe she should have routed, true. And it was the Rune Lord engaged in melee, and all she needed was a hammer to the face. That's true. You know what? Hammers to the face make me happy, Abe. Wait, that High King ability Thorgrim's got is still really good. Jake, really good is subjective, but it's interesting is what I would put it at. I like the way it's being used by Shetland Apache, Grumpy Guard, Emaze, is they pair that ability with his +9 melee attack for 55 meter buff, or no, Emaze used the Rune Lord, but the idea being, if you kill Thorgrim, you have to kill him all the way, or he gets the double buff. If you don't kill him, he gets that +9 buff on basically half his army all the time. So it's a choice. It really presents a choice to the opponent, and an interesting one at that, I think. So Gaba, he used to be a mini nuke until Great Games Workshop decided the Axe of Dwarven God or needed to be worse than the Hammer of Smithing God. Yeah, the Hammer of Sigmar. Yeah. How a Dowie weapon for a Dowie king from an ancestor god could not be as good as Galmaraz? I don't know. But, you know, Galmaraz is good, but, you know, it was a gift, I guess. And a very, very good gift, obviously. Thorgrim in the lore is really powerful. Yeah. K-Pub. Are Dark Elves like undead? They have worse stats because of murderous, or are they weak in others? So that's interesting. They do pay for the murderous prowess a little bit. So in the testing, like you can see, they have murderous prowess, and you look, it's +15 leadership, +25% melee attack, +25% charge bonus, +20% armor piercing missile damage, and +18% vigor for 90 seconds. So in the testing, because we test in a vacuum, they don't get that buff. So you always have to take a unit like the Dreadspear, same with a unit like Tomb Kings, and just sort of nudge them up a little bit in your mind. They are a little bit better than they actually play in this testing. And same with for example, Greenskins. Greenskins show up fantastically all the time, but they have Wa, and every Greenskin army has the Wa, at least one of. So wherever they are a little bit better in terms of their actual usage in a game. So, all right, 5801. Oops, 5801. 1. And we'll go 50. Actually, I'll just copy this down. MP is down. About the same timing. We'll see. They shouldn't have taken as many hit points off. Yeah, 55, 55. Okay. And the Dreadspear is finished with 1238. 183 gold. And Jake, I mean, Axe Grimnir is up there in power level, but Galmaraz is number one for me, really. Yeah, they're both fantastic. Galmaraz is much more, we'll say, famous in the lore. I mean, everyone knows Galmaraz, because the Empire is sort of the most, I would say, the most popular faction. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Gabok Thorgrim broke Queek's neck like a twig in 4 seconds after casually blowing up his dwarf gouger. That makes me happy. The Axe of Grimnir can shatter weapons sometimes, yep. Yeah, I mean, as far as the lore goes, you know, for some reason I dislike goblins more than anything else, more than orcs, more than Skaven, more than just everything. I really, really can't stand goblins. But the end times and all the lore in there really, really makes me hate Skaven. Like, not hate them in a, you know, I just really hate the storylines, and it really bothers me how they played out. They're so, I mean, all the end times is incredibly disappointing, I think, but the way Belagar died, the way Thorgrim died, I mean, just drives me. So ignominious. Okay, 57. Great Swords finished with 54.91. And the Dreadspear is 10.94. Whoops. What did I do? 10.94. Okay, 186. Okay, there we go. That was interesting. Okay, rematch. There we go. We got through, I don't know, I'm going to try and get through this testing today. I mean, I have so many things coming up, you know, that I do want to get this out and completed and up to date. But I think I might do a proper video where I go sort of 24-1 and show the units. I don't know. I mean, people do really like that. I like watching those types of videos as well, sort of like the top 10, top 5. But I will do maybe the top 30. I think there's 31 units or something like this. How many are there? We'll go up and find out. There's lots. Oh, maybe not. Maybe only 20, 23, 24. I guess maybe not that many. 24, 25. Okay, where are we? Here we are. Oh, no, those are wrong. There they are. Okay, so we'll just save that. Sorry, 57, 57, 58, 26. Wait a minute. Yeah, 58, 26. And the Great Sword's finished. Oh, that's not correct. Let's play. So watch what you're doing, Sue. Okay. And boom. Okay, 57, 47. 57, 47. And we'll get the Great Swords finished with 55, 77. And the Dreadspear is 1100. Alright, 1100. Okay, 197 gold. They're pulling a lot of gold, which is really good. You see the Dreadspear is lasting for quite a while, though. Though they give up a lot of gold to do it. Rematch. Jake Thorgrim died not in a really satisfying way, unlike Ungram. It's like it died like a hero, which I would like. mind you, I don't know for Skaven fans if they were happy. I imagine they, like, some of the Skaven fans were happy with the way that Thorgrim died, because that's a very Skaven way to, that's so Skaven, you know? It's so just backstabbing, sneaky, and irritating in every single way. So I imagine a lot of the Skaven mains or people who like Skaven and lore enjoyed that, like Belegar and Thorgrim. Yeah, Gabba, dagger in the back after crushing the Skaven. Oh, man, it's so irritating. It's so just anticlimactic, but again, very Skaven, right? I think the thing they could have done, like, they could have still made it extremely Skaven. Like, I didn't like the way Belegar died, but it was a little bit more Skaven, and he was just literally overwhelmed. Yeah, Skaven really annoy me too, Jake. God, irritating. Not as bad as goblins. Nothing irritates me like goblins. 5802. 2. Okay, Great Swords finished with 5453. Dread Spears, they got 1065. Whoops. 65. Okay. 183. One more. And we'll end that battle and rematch. Yeah, Jake, Skaven really annoy me, even though they're cool in a way. You know, I love the concept of Skaven and the under cities and the way, like, they're a unique to Warhammer type of enemy, and I love the faction that they are, and they're nuts, and they're always stoned on warpstone, and they have crazy inventions and weird magic, and you know the way they use, you know, like they're a fantastic enemy. Really, they are. Gabba, I think ages ago there was once an arena-like event held by Games Workshop in which the hero units were matched up against each other in Mortal Kombat. Thorgrim was in the top 3. Nice. Abe, so satisfying to see Skaven blown to pieces. It is very satisfying, Abe. K-Pub, as a Skaven fan, I didn't like teaming up with Chaos for little reason. Yeah, I always liked them for being themselves. Yeah, agreed. They felt like they won the plot armor, and because they had to with Chaos. Yeah, like, Skaven are always their own separate thing, and they can't even work with each other, let alone anyone else. And that's the beauty of the Skaven. I mean, they are the quintessential backstabbers, which is why, even though if all of them ever worked together for any amount of time, they could easily take over the entire globe, like, and easily, they can't even work with each other for a minute. So, you know, they're always trying to backstab each other. You know, they eat each other in the cradle. You know, this is part of Skaven, something that's expected. You know, if you don't backstab women, what's wrong with you, right? So they're a fantastic race in the lore, and a great enemy, and you know, and the artwork on them is absolutely unbelievable, very, very good. You know, and I think they finally, after this last update with the Jezzails and the Doomflayers, they sort of gotten to where they need to be in the meta online. I do like watching them play. And there's gonna be a treat for you who like the Skaven Dwarf matchup coming up. So, all right, they felt like so Belegar's death was a bit tragic, as he represents the downside of the dwarfs and his race. Really, I agree, Jake. Belegar's death is tragic, but it's his own fault in a lot of ways. I didn't like the way he died, but really that is Belegar's. Too stubborn, you know, classic dwarf, too stubborn for his own good, and refused to work with the other Dawi out of pride. And it is a more dwarven death than Thorgrim's, but still, I mean, it was good. And Jake, I don't know if you've seen Loremaster of Sotek's epic video on Belegar Ironhammer, but it's one of the best videos I've ever watched. Too Prideful. It's one of the best videos I've ever watched in terms of lore. I loved every second of that. It's like a 3-hour epic video with a companion by the Book of Choyer, where they did one of the battles. 5743. Keep going. 5743. I just loved it. Loved every minute of it. And Lore Master Sotek did such a good job of picking the right bits to talk about. Like, he talked about a lot, but there's a lot more to it, obviously. Like, he had to pick and choose how he was going to structure that, and he did such a great job. And I'm saying that from a dwarven perspective, a dwarf for literally, 30 years now. Yeah, that was awesome. I agree, Jake. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think it's Lore Master's best piece of work to date. And he has a large library of really great work. Greek Lore Vid is coming up, right? I don't know. I'm not really sure, but if it is, then I'm gonna watch every second of it. That's for sure. So 5743. What am I missing? Oh, this is I got okay. Okay, so 5368. 5368, and the Dread Spears finished with 1113. 1113. 183 gold. So the Dread Spears finished below the. They don't have armor piercing, so they did finish below the men-at-arms with pole arms, which I suppose they should. Okay, here's the Dwarf Warriors. The Dwarf Warriors are going to do quite poorly in this as well. So they're going to drop some places, I think. So we'll say 50. Whoops. Copy. V. Okay, so wait a minute. Yeah, Dwarf Warriors and then Dwarf Warriors great weapons. So end that battle. End the battle. Alright. Gaba. Sad that the basic Dowie Lords kind of suck in the game. They easily were the top 3 in the tabletop. In this game, they don't seem to even exist. Agreed. They got to do more. I've been saying this for a long time. If you watch Wyvern's channel, I love Wyvern's channel. He's he's got a new series too. If you haven't been watching it, which is called Forgotten Units, I'm sure he's going to get to the Dowie eventually, but he's doing a great job on that. And he has his finger on the pulse. So really, the Dowie Lords and all Foot Lords just need to have more utility. Yeah, they don't have mounts. That's probably why, but they don't have a lot of utility, Jake. That's the problem. Is you don't have to deal with the Dowie Lord. You can just leave him till last. Why would you fight a Dowie Lord? And someone described the Thane, which is as just too easy to ignore. I mean, hard to kill but easy to ignore. That's a Thane, right? The perfect description. Hard to kill, easy to ignore. They need to give the Dowie. This is why that everyone uses the Rune Lords and the Runesmiths, is because they've got some power. Gaba. Only Vampire Blender Lords are unkillable. Tzeentch Disc Lords were more powerful. Oh, yeah. And K-Pop, the Lizardmen got bad treatment in the end times, too. I think they got written off. Yeah, there's really nothing there to the Lizardmen. They sort of, it's almost like they got forgotten. I don't know. I think, obviously, everyone's talked about it to death, and as far as disliking it, I think is because it was so rushed. They rushed for the business side. If they had taken, I don't like the end times and the concept of it, but if they had taken, a more time and maybe another, number of books and novels, and give it a little bit more of a compassionate treatment for the franchise and the IP, I think people could have lived with it, But as it stands, it was brutal. It's brutal, right? Okay, so we'll get the Dowie. Okay, dwarfs. Okay, and we'll get the basic Dwarf Warrior. All right, and the basic Dwarf Warrior, 5850, start the battle. The basic Dwarf Warriors will hold for a little while. They just won't do much damage to the Great Swords. They won't be, I don't think they'll be nearly as bad as the Aspiring Champions, though. Okay. And 5850, so we're good there, and we'll just let it play out. Gaba, it just shows that the Dowie were the only true counter to chaos in the old world. I get that the high elves have their little vortex and stuff like that, but they didn't walk straight into chaos to save their people. You know, that's not a elf thing to do. That's a dwarf thing to do. All right. Oh boy, this is not good. Holy. Ouch. Okay, so 57-48. Great Swords finished with 55-34. Dwarf Warriors finished with 1188. Ooh, 187 gold. Ouch. That's not good. Rematch. The old ones. Too bad the old ones had to create the elves and the lizards. Kappa, it is too bad. The world would still be here. Jake gets me so... Elves get me so angry sometimes, you know. You never can trust an elf. You just can't. You know, and the arrogance I get, but the lack of trustworthiness is unforgivable. That's the case. And whether they're... I know they like to call themselves high elves, wood elves, and dark elves, and, you know, black elves and blue elves and green elves, but they're all the same. You can't trust them. And you can't tell the difference between a boy elf and a girl elf. You just can't. They are so similar. It is really difficult to tell. 57-55. All right. 53-12. 53-12. 1174. Okay. Well, 159 gold, not as bad, but this is not going to end well for the Dwarf Warriors. They're going to drop. They're definitely going to drop in that list. We'll see how far they go, but I imagine that the Goblin Fanatics will actually improve. They're number one already, but I think they'll create an even bigger gap being number one. They're so good. But they're really hard to use. I saw a video with Wyvern again. He does really great videos where he talks about the Fanatics, and they're just like, he talks about them. They can be really great, but they're extremely hard to use. A micro trap, and they're probably not worth it, even though they're solid with their whirling fanatic things. 57-41. Great Swords 4969, a little better. 4969. And Dwarfs 1095. 120, not great, but better. Rematch. K-Pub. I have similar problems with Queek and Tretch as Dwarf Lords. Yeah, there's no reason to duel them, and they can be avoided, except Queek is squishy and to a lot of damage. I agree, K-Pub. Like, almost all Foot Lords are bad, with the exception of the ones that have immense utility, like Morgar, the Shadowgave. He has his summons, he has regeneration, he has an immense amount of utility, and you still leave him till last, even though he has all that utility. That just goes to show you, right? But if they gave the Foot Lords a lot more utility, like a lot more global buffs, where if you let them live to the very end, you're going to lose, or you're going to do a lot worse. It gives the opponent a reason to come after them. So you can use your Foot Lords very strategically and in an interesting way. Right now, most people just ignore them completely. And you've seen, if you watched any of my games using Ungram against the Lizardman, I will always, I'm going to always use Dwarf Lords, different Dwarf Lords, so I can show them off, even though they're not maybe the most competitive. But you can see I spend so much of the match running after things, because the things that I can kill or do really good against, they can just run away from you, right? As the dwarfs, they don't have to face you. Whereas if you gave them some really interesting buffs, map wide or big buffs, or things that they could really, really do to give them a lot more utility, that would mean that other factions would have to try and attack them, which would make the game more interesting. So 5741. Where are we? 57. Another 5741. Oh, maybe we'll get the same. Let's see. Greatswords. No. 5174. 74. And Dwarf Warriors finished with 1165. Okay. Gaba. At least Thorgrim crushed the Skaven and Bellegar nearly reclaimed Carrick Peaks. What were the other races even doing? Yeah. Whinging. Jake. The thing is, many of the dwarf kings wanted to stay in their holds and not act together, as Thorgrim suggested. Yep. This is dwarf pride and dwarf stubbornness, and, in a lot of ways, the dwarf's downfall is similar to the Skaven, which is ironic, because the Skaven don't work together like they should, and nor do the dwarfs. Dwarf lords. Dwarf lords like Ungrim just get knocked over and over by Cav or Large. Yeah, agreed. Gaba. True, had the Dowie made a giant throng, they could have crushed Archaon before he even set a mutated toe out of the waist. I agree, Gaba. You're right. Exactly. Abe, I'm so lost. I haven't read any of the books yet. So, Abe, I haven't read any books either, but go and watch Loremaster of Sotek's channel. Look up the dwarves and just watch all his lore videos. And his Loremasters of Sotek's lore videos are amazing. Then also go watch Arch Warhammer's lore videos. He's a Skaven lover, so Arch Warhammer has amazing Skaven videos, but he does have Dowie videos. They're old, they're like 3 years old, but they're awesome. Italian Spartacus has some great lore videos. Indie Pride, I think he has some great lore videos. Milk and Cookies Total War has some great lore videos. Really, there are so many good places to get the lore. I would say Loremaster of Sotek's are generally the most in-depth, and that's what they're the most detailed. But Arch Warhammers, I mean, if you want a Skaven lore, the place to go is Arch Warhammer. Even though Loremaster of Sotek's are awesome, Arch Warhammer is a Skaven main, and you can read it. Like his lore videos are so interesting about the Skaven just because he loves the Skaven. So he brings a lot of life to Skaven. I didn't like Skaven and find them that interesting until I listened to Arch Warhammer Skaven lore videos. They're so good. Okay, 5741. Okay, so that's the end of that. Did I get all the data? Yes, I did. Okay, so end the battle, rematch. Yeah, this is going to bring the Dwarf Warriors down in this setting quite a bit. But I think it'll re-stratify things and make the list a lot more reasonable. I mean, you can never make a perfect list with testing. It's just not possible because there's so many potential, and then once you get everything tested, you have all the caveats and you have individual matchups like a Dwarf Warrior. Dwarf Warriors are awesome against the Vampire Coast, but they're terrible against, say, Chaos. So it's just one of those things that the testing is very limited. But I want to make the testing at least be reasonably representative of where they show up in an infantry on infantry engagement. And I think we got there with 601 to 900 gold and 901 gold up, and I believe we're there with the 400 gold and under now. And I think this last set of testing is really going to flush this out quite nicely in the 401 to 600 gold range. So 5746. 5746. And the Greatswords finished with 5356. And Dwarf Warriors finished with 1138. Okay. So now we'll do Great Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. We'll just copy that down. Copy B. End the battle. Gaba, good luck winning the battle when you lose your leadership for refusing a duel. You know, the concept of a taunt or a duel would be very interesting. Abe, the only one I read is something like was 5 minutes on a library. I saw one about Bellegar and the reclaim of Carrick Peaks. I think it was checking it out. Abe, just, the more lore that you listen to, the more you're going to love the Dowie and every other faction for that matter. I mean, there are no bland factions in the Warhammer world. You know, there's no sort of the milquetoast factions, no sort of really vanilla. You could say that the most vanilla milquetoast faction would be Empire, but even they're extremely interesting and incredibly fleshed out in the lore. Okay, so we'll get in there a Dwarf Warrior's Great Weapons. Dwarf Warrior's Great Weapons should do significantly better with their armor piercing. Significantly better. Abe. Then my girlfriend called me to go for ice cream and coffee. I was trying to read the book. Jake, hey Sue, have you read the War of Vengeance books? No, I haven't. I have not read any books, Jake. I really need to read. I've asked for books and people have suggested books to me. What I need to do is get like a Warhammer compendium, like to get every single Warhammer book there is and just buy them all at the same time. Like, I don't know if there's how many books there are, but if there was a place I could find where I could get every single Warhammer book in one go, I would do it. Warhammer fantasy lore is so unique and awesome. You know, I agree, Jake. 40K is awesome. You know, this funny, I've tried listening to 40K. I've listened to Luton09's channel. I've listened to Arch Warhammer. I've listened to some of the lore. I actually don't like 40K, and I can't like it. And there's no dwarfs, but B, I get it. It is a fascinating universe because all there is war. You know, the grim, dark future. But there's no good guys, Jake, and that's it. Really, I know there's just the faction. The Empire of Man is not good. There's no good people in the Empire of Man. They're all bad or evil or wrong. I get it. They feel they have to be, but there's no heroes. And so it's really I love the hero's journey, and I love heroic stories, and I find them interesting and compelling, which is why the 40K universe just can't appeal to me. Plus, there's no dwarfs. Gabba, we need shield bearers for great weapons for Dowie, and great weapons for Dowie Lords. Agreed. And for Thanes. Yeah, Thanes also need shield bearer mounts and great weapons. 5741. Much better, we'll see. 5741. I mean, I don't know if Thanes had a mount in tabletop, but they should be able to get a mount because a lot of Thanes, 40K squats equal Dowie and power armor. Yeah, so the squats are not really fleshed out. I mean, I've seen Arch Warhammer's videos on squats, and they kind of have some interesting stuff, but they were early on in 40K, and they've sort of been forgotten. They're very, very over the top. Like everything in the 40K is over the top, like massively so, ridiculously so. I've seen a lot of comparison videos of, say, where they compare spaceships and space forces and fleets and armies in 40K, Star Wars, Star Trek, Halo, all kinds of different universes, and 40K always wins. Because they're so, every army in 40K is so ridiculous. Space Marines, just a basic Space Marine is ridiculous. But the journey to become a Space Marine is not even a tragedy. It's so awful. It's awful. It is terrible to listen to how Space Marines become Space Marines. 5741. Okay, Great Swords finished with 4176. And Great Weapons finished with 1199. 47 gold. Well, there you go. We know that Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons are not great, but Gava, true, we can never have nice things. K-pub squats are silly. Now, I don't know, maybe I think they're not that interesting because of Arch Warhammer. Sort of his lore video on squats is interesting. He gives them a fair treatment, but they're not really, 40K is all about Space Marines, I think, and all about the 100 different factions of Space Marines, like the White Wolves and the blah 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 and the blah blah blah. Squats could have been awesome if they fleshed out the lore and them a bit more. I agree. Like, why would you not make awesome dwarves in the future? Like, I would have at least had an entry point. Like, if you think of 40K, you don't, like, I get it's all about Space Marines, but they could have like the Eldars or the Elves, the Neckarchs or the sort of the undead. They could have given everyone from fantasy an entry point to give them a faction that they could identify with. Like the Orcs, they make sense. They really make sense in 40K. And if you love the greenskins in fantasy, you can get on board with the Orcs in 40K. To be honest, they're basically considered abnormal humans by the Imperium. Yeah, I mean. So 57, 51. Keep going. 57, 51. Great Swords finished with 41.94. Okay, this looks pretty consistent to me. Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons, 11.18. Pretty good showing with Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons. Quick battle, rematch. Oh, I might need to make myself another coffee here pretty soon. All right. Okay. K-Pub, are there Space Skaven? Actually, I don't know if there are K-Pub. I don't think there are. I mean, there's these weird things that sort of infest. There's these weird demons that sort of infest planets, but I don't think there are Space Skaven, which is odd. You think Space Skaven of some sort would be interesting, but I don't know. Yeah, Jake, you don't think so? I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing them, but it's a perfect example. They could have made something like the 40K universe is massive. They could have given an entry point to everyone from fantasy very easily. My understanding is that where 40K really shines is in the tabletop. I guess the tabletop is quite fun. 57, 54. Though I've never played tabletop in fantasy or 40K. All right. Like my dwarf, my Dowie love comes from D&D, so kind of the early 80s, and I just think I think that there's dwarfs in so many different fantasy settings. I just think Warhammer Fantasy have done dwarfs the best. They really have. There are no better version of dwarfs than in Warhammer Fantasy, in my opinion. Okay, GABA, Space Marines equals superhuman, genetically master-crafted warriors bred for increased in the best armor Empire has to offer, killed by overgrown mushroom people swinging trash at them. Yes, orcs, yeah. I mean, Space Marines are ridiculous. Okay, so 57.54. Did I get that data? 57.54. Great Swords, 44.94. And Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons, 10.99. 97 gold. Well, see, the Great Swords are actually a pretty solid little unit. I was talking with a work boss about Great Swords, and like they used to be ridiculous in Game 1. Now they're sort of just a solid all-around unit, and the testing has really shown that they're decent, and now they're a choice. They aren't an automatic choice like they used to be. In Game 1, all you had to do to win every game was bring 6 units of Great Swords, and essentially the Dowie couldn't beat that. Okay. Warhammer Fantasy Dwarves are... I agree, Jake. I agree. Warhammer Fantasy Dwarves are the best. They're the best in every way. They're everything I think about when I think about what is the essence of a dwarf. And I really, really like it. I mean, I can't wait for the Chaos Dwarves. I was talking with someone; they were surprised that I can't wait for the Chaos Dwarves, and I like them. But for any dwarfs out there, of course you're gonna like the Chaos Dwarves. I mean, I get it. They are traitors to the ancestor gods, but really they see themselves as abandoned by the ancestor gods. They're still dour. They're still industrious. They're still stubborn. They're still everything that makes a dwarf, except they have gone to the side of chaos, and they've had their bodies and their minds and their worlds warped by chaos, and and making an agreement with Hashut. So I love Chaos Dwarfs. How dwarfs can survive in the world of Warhammer Fantasy even when they are weakened in the loss of population. Yeah. Well, you know, God, it's just I love that they can't, because dwarves have too much pride to really work together, and I love the lore of Thorgrim. I wish there was an alternate universe where Thorgrim did unite the dwarves and wipe out the Great Book of Grudges. I mean, the leader of Carrickhearn, I never can remember his name, did it. He wiped out all of their grudges in Carrickhearn, and he's famous around the dwarf world for doing that. 5747, did I get it? 5747. Great swords, 4263. Okay, Dwarf Warriors, 1064. 70 gold. Okay, in that battle, rematch. Yeah, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons should be a little bit better in this matchup. They're all the great weapon dwarfs until hammers are underpowered. You know, according to the testing anyways. Come on, boys. Get after him. Okay, 5742. And Great Swords finished with 4615. Not great, 4615. And Dwarf Warriors finished with 1028. What? 78 gold. So, who has been better than Dwarf Warriors with great weapons? The Chaos Marauders. There you go. Like, Chaos Marauders with great weapons are like significantly better than Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. And they don't have any freaking armor. Who else? Goreherds, way better than Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. Goreherds with shields, better than Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. So, it just goes to show, Flagellants. Flagellants are so bad. But we'll save that. Okay, so let's get on to Flagellants next, I guess. Imagine they'll be at 50. Okay, I'm actually going to make myself a coffee. I'll read some comments first. Jake, I feel sorry for Chaos Dwarves, but they still need to be purged for not dying honorably in battle instead of siding with the great enemy. It's true. I agree, Jake. But I'm gonna play them as though I was one of them. Gabba. Dwarfs, on the other hand, are down to earth, relatable, most of the time very grounded in reality. They don't stand out when they show up. They kick ass, take names like it's nobody's business. Agreed. Jake, dwarfs are very relatable, even more than the elves, in my opinion. I agree, Jake, especially for technical people. You know, like, I'm an engineer, and so I really relate with the industriousness of the Dowie, of the way they think, of how careful they are. You know, I love that in the dwarf lore, some dwarfs still won't use thunders because they think they're too unreliable. Oh, the corruption of Sue is coming. It is, Jake. The corruption of Sue is coming. It is coming. You're gonna see what a dwarf main, a corrupted dwarf main looks like. I'm gonna have so much fun playing through the Chaos Dwarves campaigns. I really am. I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be so fun. Okay, I'm just gonna make myself a coffee here. I'm not going anywhere, but. All right, we got that going. We'll get the Flagellants started, and the battle. We see. Watch out, Dowie brothers, a potential Chaos Dwarf in here. There is. We'll have to range far and fast if that happens. Axes out, lads. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so we have to get Empire now. Okay, Flagellant 600. Yes, that's correct. Okay, is that all they have? Is Flagellants at 600? They do. What is 6570? Yep. Okay, and Flagellants, I think they got a very slight buff recently, or maybe they can. Call all the clans and holds. Okay, Flagellants are terrible. I mean, I get it, they're unbreakable, and they do have some niche picks. They could be slightly better. I think, and still be without being overpowered. I mean, you got to be careful, obviously, with unbreakable units because they can come overpowered very quickly. But, you know, well, maybe. Freaking, they seem like they're doing pretty good against like freaking great swords. Mind you, they're a 600 gold unit. They're doing better than the dwarf warriors with great weapons. We'll see. Thing is, they will go to the last. Oh shit! Stop. Okay, I gotta make sure that they don't actually go to the last. Okay. Okay, let's go 24, 15, 34. Okay, and try and get them around 100 health. Boom. I'm gonna stop here at 161 health because my data will disappear. I'm just gonna go grab my coffee here. Oh my god. Coffee is so good. Nectar of the gods. Okay. It's kind of like the Imperial forces fighting the Chaos forces 40k, but more fantasy, and with Dowie, and with less fascism. By Grimner, who would have thought a Dowie like Sue would turn and become a follower of the Chaos gods? It can chaos warps the mind, friends. It warps the mind. Let's face it, the Chaos gods can't corrupt the Dowie, and the Dowie corrupt the Chaos gods. We'll see. I wonder if this profile pick would be a bit more chaos and heretical. We'll see. You know what? I think I'm gonna really have fun trying to come up with some interesting little thumbnails and stuff. I really am looking forward to it. This is gonna be really fun. 5712, because I don't mind playing an evil race that's still lawful. You know, the Dowies still follow rules, and they're very focused on precision. You know, I really still love everything about them, and even how they were corrupted. You know, and the decisions they made, because they got into the situation they got into because they're stubborn. They are just stubborn, like all dwarves are, which is great. Korn has the fake beard hidden under his skulls to welcome his Dowie overlords. It'll be fun if you can actually... it'll be fun to kill all the chaos as the Dowies are. 5712. Okay, let's get back here. Okay, 5712. 5712. And great swords, they finished with 3766. 3766. Okay, flagellants... 161. Oh, okay. Well, they took 181 gold off the flagellant. So, well, there we go. I guess it's not as bad as it looked. Okay, concede defeat and rematch at Gaba. I want to agree. Dwarves can still be corrupted. I think not as easily as elves or humans. True. Agree, Gabba. Corn has... Abe, at least Chaos Dwarves has some good taste, though. Nothing like a latte coffee. Dwarf psychology is far more tougher than the elves or the humans, though. True. So yeah, like the Dawi are corrupted, but in a different way than humans or any other than anything else. You know, the way they're corrupted is uniquely Dawi, which is another reason I love them in the lore. It's kind of like the good Spock and the bad Spock in the old Star Trek TV series, where one had a goatee and one didn't. It was awesome. That's sort of how I see the Dawis are. Okay, 1700. We'll get them down to about 100 health. See what they can do. Okay, good enough. 257.15. 15. And Great Swords finished with 34.89. Flagellants, 204. 140 gold. Well, a little better. Concede defeat and a rematch. The Gabba. The Dawi are the only race able to smith true anti-chaos weaponry from Gromrel. Yep. I think in the lore, the refined Gromrel can actually kill chaos just by being in their presence without even hitting them. I'm not sure. There's a name for it, Gabba. Do you know the name for like super refined Gromrel? It's not. Is it star metal? No. It's, you know, they say that in the lore that very few dwarves know how to do it, and there hasn't been any weapons forged in a long time, and it takes a long time to forge a weapon made from it. But dwarves were designed to be magic resistant by the old ones as well. Those type of weapons nullify or absorb chaos energy fully. Yep. Jake, Dawi has the strongest armor, I think. I love the Dawi armor. Chaos has some pretty good armor too. Hard to say who has better armor in terms of its capability. I think the best of the best armor goes to the Dawi. I think the average solid army might go to Chaos. It's hard to say. It's really close. Chaos makes up for quality with quantity in terms of the thickness of their armor. I think. 57.24. 24. Great Swords, 34.81. And Flagellants, 82. 151 gold. Chaos has shoddy armor. Chaos has shoddy armor. You know, in terms of the construction, I agree. In terms of the construction and forging, just as an independent piece of work, I agree. Okay, there we go. Concede defeat, rematch. Okay, here we go. Gabba, Chaos armor is living armor grown on the wearer's body, while Dawi armor is pure craftsmanship. That's a great description, Gabba. Yep, I love it. Jake, that's what a Barden would say. Yes, like there are no craftsmen in the world like the Dawi. And that's why I've always loved dwarfs, because of because of their craftsmanship. Because when you're really a technical person, craftsmanship matters, right? this guy, what are you? 866, 798, 14, and stop. Okay. Jake, dwarves don't cheat by just using full-on magic like chaos. I agree. Everyone's a cheater except for the dwarves. Which is why the Dowie are always better than elves. I agree, Gabba. That's exactly, it's true. That, like, armor is built by Dowie hands. No cheating. Like, even non-rune inscribed armor from the Dowie is amazing. Okay, so we've got 5735. Although I wish there were more runes in this game. I hope when they get around to the third pass on the Dowie, they do a lot more rune magic. And maybe that, like, another big Dowie DLC, they'll do a lot more rune magic. I would love to see you able to get runes with just units, but a lot more rune magic. Okay, so greatswords finished with 4081. Okay, 174th for the flagellants, 174, and we'll keep going here. See defeat. Yes, rematch. Not even the Elgi can match our care and skill. That's true. And the elves are a long-lived race as well, and their craftsmanship is not awful. That's what I'm going to say about the elves. Their craftsmanship is not awful. Not like Empire or... Well, I guess, and I don't even know what you call orc craftsmanship or Skaven craftsmanship. It's not, I don't know what you would call it, but it's not craftsmanship. Agree, gunpowder will always be better than magic. I love gunpowder. If elves are masters of the mystic arts, then Dowies are the masters of the worldly craft. Yes, Jiminy Crickets, Gabba, like that's pure gold. That's a really good way of thinking about it. Jake. Wait, the Anvil of Doom can summon lightning from the sky? Wait. I gotta watch this so I don't lose my data set here. 461, 300, stop. Okay, 5712. Okay, and great swords, we'll call that 3551. Flagellants, 153. 153. We're 169 gold they lost in that. Worse than the Dwarf Warriors. So Flagellants proved themselves terrible once again. But, I mean, they do have their place. They do have their place, don't they? Night Goblin Fanatics. See, Night Goblin Fanatics are so freaking good. Here's what we'll see. Copy V. Okay, so we'll see if they can pull positive value off the greatswords. I don't think they will, because I don't think they'll get 2 shots of their spinners, but it'll be close. K-Pub, they don't even give the elves or Slan all the magic they actually had in this game, which is weird. I agree. They should have more magic, and especially the Slan, and as much as I don't like elves, I mean, I'd like them to be more lore friendly, because it's weird that it seems like that Empire has more availability of magic than the elves, which is not correct, because the elves taught Empire and they can wield multiple schools of magic. Empire can't. So you would think the Slan are even more powerful by quite a bit than the elves. So the magic should be, maybe should be cost less. Like, one of the ways I think you could do it properly, because the problem with you don't want to upset the balance of the game too much, but the way I think you could do it properly is you could make elf spells and then even a lot cheaper, so the elf casters could bring more spells for the same gold, and you could make Slan spells even cheaper than that. So you could bring a Slan with, if every spell from the Slan cost less than 100 gold, you could bring 6 spells very easily with a Slan mage, where you could only bring 2 or 3 with an Empire, and you could bring sort of 4 or 5 with the Elf, I think that would sort of be more reasonable. Elves can use all winds of magic, I think, while humans can only master one specifically. I agree. Yeah, that's exactly it, Jake, because that's my understanding of it. So the game doesn't display that. I think the game could display that by making generally elf spells a lot cheaper. Okay, so who are we going? All right, we're going with... where are the greenskins? And we're going with 401. We're going Night Goblins Fanatics. So Night Goblin Fanatics, 6720. 6720. So Night Goblin Fanatics, we're the number one place. Are currently in the number one place. I think they're going to remain in number one because they're so strong in a vacuum. You know, again, I know Wyvern brings up some good point that they're bring up excellent points that they're super micro intensive, but and you're going to see here, there they go. Okay, they've hurt themselves, but, so this is starting at 51 seconds. We'll call it 51. But, look at the damage they've done to the greatswords before they even engage. Now, they have hurt themselves because, you know, Night Goblin, but, you know, we'll see. They're out of there, and... there. The engagement has just started and they're already down to 5,200 health. And they have 2 more shots of those damn fanatics. And they cause poison. And they have silver shields. Right? And I think they have stock, right? Expendable. Spinning loons. Stock, yeah. Like they're a really, really solid unit, but they're hard to use. So now they won't get a second shot of their fanatics, I don't think, which is part of the problem. See, they think they're winning. And now they think they're tied, they think they're winning. Maybe they're not going to get in the show. There we go. See, and there goes the leadership. You just saw it tank really, really fast. And 58-54. So 58-54. Ah, that was a mistake. Copy. V. Okay. 58-54. There, less than a minute they were in there. Great swords. We'll call it 41-64. And Night Goblin Fanatics finished with 28.95. There you go. There it is. Minus 96 gold. So the Night Goblin Fanatics took 96 gold off of the Great Swords. They're so efficient. You know, they're so efficient. And you think, and here's why, one of the reasons why some of these weak units are so efficient. Now, their bad leadership is awful, but they're going to rout here and get away, and they're going to be able to come back and use another shot of their fanatics. I think their fanatics they can use, even if they have like 20 models, they can spit out 3. So, you know, a unit that's really hard to use, but they have poison, silver shields, stock, and vanguard deployment, you know, and these spinning loons. Really, really interesting unit. So, and again, they're the only unit that's taken gold off the greatswords so far, and they took a lot. So 58-54, yeah. 96 gold they took off the greatswords. So they're the only ones in the positive so far. So in that battle, rematch. Sorry, I missed some of the chat here. I would love to see more customization of heroes and basic lords. Agreed. The Dowie need more runes. I demand to have the Dowie lord throwing around his hammer like Thor. Jake, elves live way longer than humans as well. Yeah, exactly. Mjolnir might have spelt that wrong. Yeah, Mjolnir. I don't know how to spell it exactly. I know I loved Thor comics when I was a kid, and I still love Thor. In the MCU. Gabba, yes, the rune of flight needs to be added. K-Pub, the elves have a lore master hero, but it's funny how they aren't picked often at all. Yeah, agreed. Jake, to be honest, if you are a foe of both elves and dwarves, you faced a swordmaster of Hoeth of the elves and the dwarf hammers. The dwarfs, which one would you choose to fight? I would choose to fight the swordmaster. Yeah, because I hate elves, but Gabba, damn gobbles, we should introduce pet rock caretakers into the Dowie roster. Okay. Like, and if they, and this is the AI getting off those spinning loons. If a person was aiming those, like, you would get those spinning loons off and not even engage. You know, you'd just send those guys back to your back line. You wouldn't even have to engage with them. And just try and get all your spinning loons off. Really, really difficult, I know, but interesting. Oh, they got a second unit of spinning loons off. Boom. Okay, stop. 5804. Interesting. 58. They lasted almost a full minute longer. 50 seconds anyway. Great Swords finished with 3606. That's crazy. 3606. And Night Goblins finished with 1262. Pulled 60 gold off the Great Swords again. No problem. Night Goblins are just fantastic. And that's with, well, that was with 2 shots. With their second shot of spinning loons didn't quite hit, did it? Being slayed by a swordmaster would be less painful. Being slayed by a hammer would be so painful. Yes, painful in terms of physical pain. Being slain by an elf would be more mental pain. It'd be excruciating to watch for me. Okay, get in here. Whereas watching things get slain by hammers is actually quite satisfying. Okay, and there you can see the Night Goblins believe they're winning. And now as things get going, they'll start losing. But they might get another shot off. Like, all they got to do, that second shot, if it goes the right place, they're going to do great. Come on. Get it going. Nope, not quite. 58-14. They just about got there to the second shot of spinning loons. The Great Swords, 29-72. Jiminy Crickets. 29-72. They're just, these frickin' Night Goblins are just crushing them. 1741. Yeah, 176 gold they pulled out of their frickin' Great Swords. It's crazy. Okay, rematch. Gabba, that's why you make friends with the Dowie and decap the elves. Agreed. Abe, a hammer. Unless it lands a decisive blow, it will slowly smash you to death. Yeah. It would not be pleasant, Jake. Yeah, if you're a human facing the 2 races, I die by an elf because you don't want to die by the hands of a vengeful Dowie. Okay. What? Wow. AI pulled a little dipsy doodle there. We'll see if they get a like, I'd like to see them get a second shot of spinning loons off to the Great Swords, like right into them. But they have to last for a very long time, and yeah, they can't. They only did it once there. But 58-43. 58-43. That looked like a pretty good engagement for the Night Goblins there. 37.90 for the Great Swords. Okay, 3,000 for the Night Goblins. Yep, 152 gold. Wow. At 134 gold a minute. Just insane how much DPS they have in battle. Or how much DPS those spinning loons are. Jake, they will kill you slower, but in more pain, unlike the algae. Yeah, the elves are just, like, what irritates me about the elves is they always think you're beneath them. That arrogance is irritating. There's another little shot by the Night Goblins and a nice little counter charge. And they think they're winning, but now they think they're losing. It's just, like, really, if they're not going to be able to get off that second shot. They just get to right about here. Well, they're holding on. If they can get off that second shot, it'll be crushing. They did it. Interesting. Okay, so we'll end it there. 5806. It went the wrong way though. 5806. And the Great Swords finished with 3336. And Night Goblins finished with 1355. And it looks like the Night Goblins, they pulled 117 gold off the Greatswords. It's just ridiculous. They are so good. In a vacuum, let me always put a caveat on that. They're so good in a vacuum. Nasty Skulker should do all right. We'll see how the Orc Boys, like, they're not a bad unit. They're just an all-around okay unit. We'll see how they do. So 50, copy. Nasty Skulkers are an amazing unit. Okay, in the battle. Gaba, they'd first break your legs, and you have to look up to see the Hammer of Doom coming down at you. That is a perfectly dwarf thing to do. They'll cut you down to size, so now instead of you looking down on them, they'll look down at you and let you see it coming. So where do we got our Orc Boys? The Orc Boys are just an okay unit. They're not a bad unit, but they never get used. Just because, why would you? Everything else has silver shields, and like a Fanatic at 450 gold is just really, really good. But Orc Boy's not bad. We'll see how the Orc Boys actually show up in this. If you faced off an elf, you'd be decapitated more quickly, so you might not be in pain if hammered to death. True. Unless it's done by an elf, then it's a good fun. Done to an elf, then it's good fun for the whole family. That's true. That is the best of both worlds, Gaba. You get to see a hammer down an elf. Okay, I'll smash some pretty elven faces any day. I agree. Yeah, these Orc Boys aren't going to do great, but they're, in this matchup, they're not going to do outstandingly, but not too terrible. I think they're going to finish middle of the pack. Is what I would guess anyways. Middle of the pack somewhere. They're holding on all right. They have just enough leadership to keep fighting. So 5801. 5801. Whoops. 1. For whatever reason it does that. Okay. Great Swords finishing hit points. 4249. 49. And these guys finish with 1419. Yeah, 21 gold difference. There you go. Like, this, Orc Boys are not a bad unit in terms of their performance. They just don't get used because there's so many. The Greenskin lineup has so many efficient units. All right. Okay. I was thinking I should get together with a Reptile King to do a co-op campaign where he plays Lizardmen and I play Dwarfs. I have like some 4 co-op campaigns or co-op slash head-to-head campaigns I need to get done. And I've promised. First one I got to get done is Ragnarok Total War. He asked me like forever ago. I just have not been able to get to it, but I really want to do a proper co-op campaign. And he wants to play, in a co-op campaign, he wants to play Belagar Ironhammer, so I would play Thorgrim. I think it would be really fun, like a combined go on Karak 8 Peaks. I think it would be a great campaign. 5812. 5812. Great Swords finish 4702. Not as good this time for the Orc Boys. 1830. 56 gold though, not bad. Rematch. Jake, I'll flagellant these elven fools with me thick food-covered beard. Gaba, even better if it's done to lords and swordmasters. Years of magically enhanced cheating ended by a solid Dowie hammer. Right, Gaba, like that solid fuck that a hammer makes. I love the sound. Jake, yeah, it's a warhammer for you. Gaba, hey Sue, what's the first Dowie media you consumed? First dwarf media I ever consumed was in D&D in 1983, 82, somewhere in there. And I mean, I played my very first character was a dwarf cleric, and I loved it. Really, I've loved the Dowie. I love their lore in D&D, and I mean, I know it all comes from Tolkien, but I didn't know Tolkien yet when I first got into D&D. I love Tolkien, but funny enough, I think Tolkien dwarves are portrayed better in the books than they are in the films for the Lord of the Rings. But still, there is no better dwarfs than the Warhammer Fantasy dwarfs. They are the best. And dwarves are everywhere. They're pervasive in fantasy, and there's just no better dwarfs. They're so perfect, and their artwork, even their way their bodies are shaped, is so good. That really helps too. Like in a lot of different maybe games, or they just don't look right to me, but they look perfect to me in Warhammer Fantasy. Jake, even if you train for hundreds of years but still get blown up by cannon, it'd be such a waste of time. That'd be so funny. Gamma or Goblin Twig Launcher covered in feces. Damn. For me, it was the book series of the dwarves. Okay, cool. But yeah, Warhammer, some of the best dwarves. I just there's so many great. There's not only so many the way they put the lore together. There's so many great characters that really explore the different aspects of the dwarves. I mean, I know people who aren't dwarf mains and don't love the dwarves think all dwarves are the same. But if you love dwarves, you can see how different they all are. There's so much difference between different dwarves, and I love it. So 5804. 5804. Greatsword's finished with 4407. Oops. And the Orc Boys 1409. Okay, in the battle, rematch. Yeah, and one of the things that I really, really am looking forward to is I think with the way technology is going, I could see within the next 10 years someone doing sort of a Netflix Warhammer fantasy world and a Warhammer 40K, which I think which could be done and could be amazing. I can imagine a Netflix series on 40K. Like even though I don't like 40K in terms of a lot of it, I would watch every second of it. I'm the type that I try and support as much as I can the IPs that I love, but a fantasy series like a Gotrek and Felix on Netflix would be amazing. You could run that series for 3 or 4 years easy, and I think it would be awesome. And compelling stories, just amazing all around. And with the state of sort of special effects, you could easily run that now. With face capture, motion capture, and all this kind of stuff, you could easily run that sort of series. If you sort of got it started within the next 5 years, I can see that happening, and it'll be amazing. Warhammer, something okay, but Tolkien dwarves are pretty beastly. Yeah, they are. They're the only race mainly unaffected by Sauron's corruption, and the true firstborn race. Yeah, they are pretty awesome. Don't believe the elven propaganda. It's lies. I tell you lies. Okay, so 5803. 5803. Greatsword's finished with 4494. And Orc Boys 1268. Alright, one more battle, and then we get to the Nasty Skulkers. The Nasty Skulkers should be interesting. They should be interesting. Alright. Get in there, boys. Elves just think too highly of themselves, yeah. It's arrogance. This is the difference between pride and arrogance. Now, pride is not the greatest, and it's part of the downfall of Daoi, but arrogance is not becoming to anyone. 5850. Okay, that was pretty quick. 51-55. And Orc Boys finished with 26-72. So overall, 49 gold. I'd say the Orc Boys showed well for themselves. I mean, I think the Nasty Skulkers are going to do better, but we'll see. Copy. Okay. Because the Nasty Skulkers can definitely reduce the impact of a charge with that smoke bomb. In the battle. Yeah, Jake, they underestimated us during the War of Vengeance. I mean, that's typical elves. Right? Gabba, they're too high on magic to notice their farts don't smell like roses. Yes, that's true. It is true. Okay, we'll start that. Get to see how the Skulkers do. This should be interesting. I don't know if they'll pull positive value, but they might. They should, really. This should be really close. Okay, here comes the smoke bomb. There it is. Well, maybe not. Oh, there they get their mechanic. Oh yeah, they're pulling. They're going to pull positive value on that. I have to. 40-35. Ah, it'll be close. 58-50. It might be 0. 58-50. It might be a wash, but even a wash is pretty good because great swords are solid. Great swords finished with 40-35. And the Nasty Skulkers finished with 20. Oh yeah, Nasty Skulkers are winning that, I think. 28-35. Whoa, 96 gold. Very nice for the Skulkers. Okay. Jake, yeah, elves were designed by the old one to be magically tuned. Yep. Gabba, which is why we still own their Phoenix crown. I know. I love that that's sitting in the treasure halls of the dwarfs. And, yeah, it makes me very, very happy, Gabba, that we still have that crown. Okay.
Great swords! Now!
Sneaky Infantry. That's even a good name for them. Sneaky Infantry. Oops. 58-57. That was fast. Well, this is fast like the other one. They do a lot of damage in a short period of time, though. 39-74 for the great swords. Wow. 39-74. And Nasty Skulkers finished with 27-80. Okay. Yeah, 100 gold. Nasty Skulkers definitely crushing. Rematch. Jake, they have to live with shame. And Gabba, and not to forget, drenched in elven tears.
Swords! To battle!
Okay. And you can see, like, the greatswords are legitimately losing off the get-go. Like, legitimately getting crushed. Oh, wow. The Nasty Skulkers are doing really, really good here. No, there's no way they beat them. No way. Yeah, okay. But that was extremely good. 58-23. Great swords, 24-77. Oh, that's going to be a big number right there. That's going to be a big number. Nasty Skulkers, 1601. 202 gold. Wow, very nice. Okay. In the battle, a rematch. All right. Jake, dwarves and humans are probably one of the strongest alliances in Warhammer. Yeah. It's a good alliance. I do like it. I mean, I like the lore behind the alliance and how everything works about it. I really do. I really do like it. Okay, so the Skulkers aren't doing quite as good this time around. Yeah, there we go. 58-58. Great Swords finished with 3904. 04. And Skulkers finished with 2909. Okay, 119 gold loss though, still. Very solid for the Skulkers. Jake, the bond of friendship is so beautiful. You know what? That's right. That is true. You know, and this is one of the reasons why Warhammer Fantasy is so compelling. They have heroes, they have friends, they have, you know, enemies they face together. I mean, it is a compelling universe. You know, I know that originally, this is kind of where Warhammer Fantasy gets it so right in so many ways. Is, you know, they have lots of different enemies. I mean, I know Chaos is always sort of the big bad. That's sort of like Sauron and Lord of the Rings and everything like that. But they have a lot more enemies in the Warhammer Fantasy world, which I really like. So you give a lot of chances for allies to be formed, whether they're temporary or permanent, and great stories to emerge, both individually and for factions. Well, looks like the Skulkers did very good there. 58-18. 58-18. Are the Skulkers gonna beat? Yeah, they are. They're gonna beat the Night Goblin Fanatics. Wow. Great Swords finished with 27-19. And the Skulkers finished with 1665. 138 gold. There you go. The Skulkers have taken the lead. In gold per minute, 120. Very, very nice. So now we're gonna get to Savage Orcs. Now this is the thing. This lineup for the Greenskins is so good because Savage Orcs are no joke either. Savage Orcs are really good. I wouldn't be surprised if the Savage Orcs actually finished even and even took a little bit of gold off of the Great Swords. So we'll see though. Copy V. So end that battle. Yeah, the mid-range Greenskin infantry is so good. And you add Wa to that, they're just excellent. Excellent. Okay, where is my Savage Orcs? There we go. 7290. 7290. Yeah, there we go. Okay, 7290. Okay, chat. Humans and Dowdy, the big small brother helping the small big brother. Jake, elves kind of effed themselves in the previous alliance. They sure did, with their own hubris and arrogance. Abe, humans and Dowdy are the most reliable alliance. Yep. Malekith may have started it, but the elves clearly never got the memo. That is true. I get it. Malekith did start it, but listen, it's all the elves had to do was investigate, to own up, to believe their ally, and both empires would have still endured, and they're probably the end times couldn't have happened. But it's like classic, where the elves are too arrogant to face up their own faults, and the Dawi were too stubborn to let it go. And it's just classic, there's a term in boxing called, where they say styles make fights, and it's kind of really is that. It's the inevitable. The War of Vengeance was in some ways inevitable, because there's no dwarf that could ever like an elf, and there's no elf that could ever really like a dwarf. I mean, there's some friendships within the factions, I agree, but in general, right? The elves look down on dwarfs in every way, and the dwarves don't respect elves in almost every way. You're right. I mean, so it's a good classic. It's a good classic story, and it's played out very well in Lord of the Rings too. Okay, so we go here. We're going to see how those Savage Orcs do. Did not bad on the charge. Maybe they're not doing really great. We'll see how their leadership holds up, because they do have that frenzy and they do have physical resistance. And they still think they don't think they're losing yet, which is very, very good. Not bad. I would say it wasn't bad. We'll see how it fleshes out. It'll be close. 5824. And the Great Swords finished with 3781. I think they're going to pull positive value out of this. You know? Savage Orcs, 1405. Nope, 41 gold. Lost a little bit. So it should be close throughout. Okay. Rematch. Malekith is why everything was that. You get what I mean? Yeah. I think Dark Elves are the worst elves. K-Pub. I don't know. They're all bad. They're all bad. At least see, here's the thing I like about Dark Elves as opposed to High Elves and Wood Elves. I mean, they're all the same to me, essentially. But at least Dark Elves are honest. Right? They're in their evil and their debauchery and their sort of Slaanesh facing ideology. They're honest. Right? High Elves are not honest. You know, you could say Wood Elves are honest in themselves too, in the same way that Dark Elves are, but High Elves are the least honest. So you know they're treacherous. You know, in a lot of ways, the Dark Elves aren't treacherous. They're because that's what you expect. You know, I get it. They're sort of intrigue and they infiltrate the High Elves all the time, and they're sort of like that. There's always kind of like spy versus spy in the elf world, but yeah. At least with a Dark Elf, you know what you're getting. With a High Elf, you don't. With a High Elf, you don't. 5820. And they're all really the same. There's really not much difference in even the so-called good elves and the so-called bad elves. Okay, Great Swords. 3729. Okay, 1309. 1309. 42 gold. Very consistent results there, for sure. Very consistent results. Rematch. I think Dark Elves are the worst. I think both races were very different. Gaba, now, what else are worse? They effed up so much with Bretonia that they turned willingly to chaos. Ah, yeah, sure. With cheer on their lips and a song in their hearts. You know what? And you, like, it is really, I think the Wood Elves, and this is like classic elves. You know, they think that they're saving the forest, but they corrupted it. Like, you know, it was the elves that originally started corrupting Durthu's kin. It wasn't the dwarfs. It wasn't anyone. It was the elves that they brought someone through the world roots and started, like, it was the elves that corrupted them, and in their arrogance they think they're protecting the forest, but they're making it worse. The forest spirits don't like the Wood Elves, right? They hate everybody. They just put up with them. Okay. But yeah, Wood Elves may be the worst. I don't know. They're all bad. There's the best redeeming quality you can say an elf has is the Dark Elves, who are at least honest to their own desires. So that's the best quality that any of the elves have, which isn't much. Okay, 5824. Okay, 3772. Okay, Savage Orcs, 1300. Okay, 48 gold. Very, very consistent with them Savage Orcs. Very consistent set of tests. So, K-Pub, well, really, that's messed up. Jake, Durthu is the only one, probably. Which is why he's stupid. Yeah, Durthu got his face chopped off by a dwarf. I mean, I know that happened, but it was the elves that corrupted the forest. It was the elves that corrupted the forest. Because the world roots were clean and pure until the elves started using them. Let me see. 59. Yeah. The Savage Orcs are hanging on here. Whoops. Okay. 5820. 5820. Very, very consistent. Oh, we got a 5820. I wonder if we're going to get a 3729. Nope, 3719. $13.99. Always look for exact same results in these testings. This testing, I've done thousands of tests and it's only happened 3 times, where I've gotten the exact same health, stoppages, and everything. Okay, in the battle, rematch. Jake, I'm surprised Dirthu hasn't snapped and gone full on rage mode on the elves sometimes. Yeah, agreed, Jake. I don't know how he's put up with them. Gabba, not even the elves trust or like each other. That's true. They don't like each other. They don't trust each other. High elves, wood elves, dark elves, none of them, because they're not worthy of trust, which is, why they're such a good faction to dislike or hate, as you will. It's because they're worthy of it. Jake, I get that he needs the elves to help protect the forest. Yeah, I don't know. The tree men would be better off if they'd never ever gotten to any kind of relationship with the elves at all. If the elves would have come around, they'd just have killed them every time. Killed them on sight every time. Even the good ones. And that's the problem, because there are no good ones. There's good ones. And this is like, the saying is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That sort of describes the elves who think they're good, right? Because it goes back to their arrogance, where they also think they know better than everyone, right? 58-17, which is their fatal flaw. They ruin the world despite trying to save it, right? Great swords. Finished with 37-10. Very, very consistent results here. 1273. 41.5 gold for the Savage Orcs. Did they finish ahead of the Orc Boys? 40 point. Yep, a little bit. Savage, in some matchups, Savage Orcs are so good. Okay. High Elf Spearmen. High Elf Spearmen are a nice little unit. They are a very nice little unit. Okay, so we got the High Elf Spearmen and that battle. Red Crested Skinks are coming up. It'll be interesting to see how they do against the Greatswords. Gabba. The elves probably think wiping out all non-elf life would save the world. Yep, that's. I could see an elf thinking that. That's sort of the that apocalyptic thinking. K-Pub. Anyone that played the video game Vermintide 1-2 knows the Wood Elf is the most arrogant, annoying character to most people. Gabba, he should have just asked the Dowie. Given them deadwood and they would risk their lives for you. Yes, that's true. Like, you look at, like, I get the Dowie and the Wood Elves, or not the Wood Elves, the forest sort of got off on the wrong foot, so to speak. That's a little bit of an understatement, we'll say. But if they could have both got past themselves, they would have been the best of allies. Really. They could have been the best of allies, because both are incredibly vengeful. Like, you look at the forest creatures and the Dowie, I mean, who is more vengeful? I mean, I would have to say, even as much as vengeful as the dwarves are, probably the forest creatures are more vengeful than the Dowie, because they live longer and they hold hate in their heart a little more effectively than the Dowie, and that's something to say. That is something to say. That would have been the right alliance, but it never has been quite good, and Dirthu would have a lot would really have to open up his forgiveness genes there. Forgive that big hole in his face. Okay, close victory. Okay, continue. So who are we getting? We're getting the High Elves, right? High Elf Spearmen. Okay. And here we go. Spearmen. Spearmen have a night. I think they get 3. No, they only get 2. Okay. 500. Anyone play? Jake, that's the tragedy of Warhammer. I think when it comes to factions, of all of them have their own story, tragedy of the Wood Elves, you know, and they're. This is why Warhammer Fantasy is so compelling. Is there so much tragedy, but there are also so many heroes. There are so many stories that are interesting. It is such a rich universe. You know, that's,
Swords!
yeah. It is the best fantasy universe going right now, in my opinion. I'd like to say there'll never be a better one, but there'll probably never be a better one in my lifetime. Yeah, Jake, the dwarves kind of see the forest as fuel for the machines and stuff, plus tools. That's why they never got on. It's true, but had they been like, the thing is, the dwarfs and the tree men stuff have a lot in common. In even though they don't have common in terms of technology, craftsmanship, and how they like, it's really, they're polar opposites when it comes to creating things, you know, living things versus constructed things. But their mindset is often this does line up in a lot of ways. So they would be an interesting allies, you know, in an alternate Warhammer Fantasy universe. You know, and that's the thing, that if Games Workshop was really on point, what they would do is reboot the fantasy universe and have an alternate universe because they could have an alternate universe where the dwarves and the tree men were allies, and you know, or you know, different stuff like this. They could do some really fantastic stuff with alternate universes. I mean, the MCU for the next 10 years is going to be all about alternate universes, and this is what fantasy is so good at, where you can take a look at different things. I mean, I get it changes canon, but it doesn't change the original canon. An alternate universe can look at how things would have been, and you can have a whole different set. I mean, that's the beauty of this. I think Warhammer Total War is going to really, it definitely recharged the Warhammer Fantasy universe, and they're going to have more games. They're going to have more games coming up, and they could Games Workshop could reboot the entire fantasy universe if they really wanted to. I mean, it's just writing, right? It's alternate universes. They could have the end times have somehow warp back to the beginning times. They could do lots of things. It's freaking chaos, right? You can do lots of stuff. Okay. Gabba. Dowie don't give a damn about the forests and would be happy so long as they get free wood without setting foot in it. Sure they would. You're right there. Jake, same as 40k though, Sue, with that Horus Heresy. Yep. Gabba, and the forest critters only have to put up with them when the danger is afoot. That's true. So 5701. Okay, so 57. So they lasted a very long time. They lasted a very long time. 169 seconds. So Great Swords finished with 53.53. And the Spearmen finished with 12.19. So they lost a lot of gold, though. They lasted for a long time, but they lost a ton of gold. Okay, in that battle, rematch. Jake Woo, Fantasy Brock back. Yeah, I really think that. No, this is just me pontificating, or just thinking out loud. I think that this game, in and of itself, is so successful, and some of the other fantasy games are so successful that they could reboot the fantasy universe for Games Workshop. I mean, companies are full of people who have a passion for the subject that they're doing, you know, but companies are also driven by simple, straightforward profit models, which isn't a bad thing, you know. And this game has had to have been successful for both. I know it's successful for both Total War and CA and Games Workshop. So I could see them rebooting the series. I would love it, because you could do a whole series of sort of in the very beginning with the Total War Warhammer. Really, when the ancient ones were still around. Like, you think it's just like a regular Total War series where you do medieval and then you do Roman times and you do, you know, more modern times. You could do the same thing with Warhammer Fantasy. They're going to do that. They're definitely going to do that. I mean, there's too much money to be made, and it's something that all of us will love. It'll be fantastic. And then you put in a potential alternate universe there, where you know, you could have an effect on changing the universe, which would be really, really cool. Jake, Loremaster Sotek says fantasy may not return, though that's his opinion for now. I think it's returning. It's too much money to be involved. I know Loremaster Sotek is brilliant and really into the lore, but I mean, I've been around. I've been on this earth a lot more years, and business is business. You know, where the reason they had the end times is they thought it would be financially very good for the company. Rebooting the fantasy series in a big way would also be very profitable for the Games Workshop. So, you know, maybe it's not coming in the next year or two, but I could see it in the next 5 or 10 for sure. 56, 59. Okay. Because there's so much to do with there's so much more they can do. Let's see, 56, 59. So much more they can do with just even Warhammer Total War. Like, they could make a total no campaigns, just a competitive tabletop type of game. You know, when they make a free version of that where people can start playing. You could have Total War be maybe not as big as Dota or World of Tanks or anything, but you know, competitive, be very interesting because you look at games like StarCraft and you know, those games are very, very popular. Warhammer could easily be as popular as StarCraft. Great Swords finished with 53, 51. 53, 51. Spearmen 1125. 1125. 205 gold they pulled. Okay. A rematch. Gaba, parallel universes which the elves are recognized as true bad guys, and the Dowie ride on giant bearded dinosaurs next to the endless hordes of lizards with beards. Oh my god. Let's face it, the Dowie, the ultimate good guys in the series. Every alliance would have been better with the Dowie in it. True. Like, they are the ultimate good guys because despite their downfalls, they're honest. Jake, I want to cheer, but I also want to say, what type of Bugmans are you drinking? Jake, dwarves are the best though, agreed. Gava, it's called Sioux Devil Special, that's right. Gava, 1 part shrooms found in a ditch, 3 parts Dowie ale. Oh my god. Jake, I bet when Warhammer 3 is out, it's going to be called Sioux Devil's Heresy. Well, maybe not, but I'm okay if CA wants to use that title. I'm fine with it. Oh my god. So 59. These spearmen hold on for quite some time, but they are definitely getting trounced in the value department. Bet Jake, why, you know, Chaos Dwarf, yeah, the Chaos Dwarf playthrough. I should call that Sioux Devil's Heresy, the Chaos Dwarf playthrough. I think that'd be great. That's a great title. Don't let me forget it, Jake. Trader Kane or Traderkin. Traderkin. Like, I want a good title for it. Traderkin. Yeah, they're both good. I really want. I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget that title. A few of them titles. That's really good. 57-17. 7-17. Okay, Great Swords. 53-91. And we go 11-19. Very consistent results here in the battle. Rematch. Even Chaos Dwarves are less evil, and they're more pragmatic. I know, I love the pragmatic nature of the Chaos Dwarves. Really, that's really why they entered in agreement with Hashut. It's a very pragmatic. You know, that is a very dwarf decision. I get it. Lots of people, well, they're traitors, but it's true. But you can understand the logic that got them to Hashut. You know, it makes sense to me, and I can follow that thinking very easily as a, you know, where I get other dwarves think them traitors, but they think themselves abandoned, and really that therein lies the framework for the rest of the thinking, which I really love about their story. And oh my god, in multiplayer, Chaos Dwarves are going to be ridiculously good. Because you think they're everything the dwarves are, plus they have cavalry, they have slaves, they have chaff, they have hobgoblin wolf riders, which are way better than goblin wolf riders. They have like bull centaurs. I mean, they have freaking everything. They have everything. They're going to be a hard faction to beat. Multiplayer. I think they're going to be the kings of multiplayer when Game 3 comes out. Because I don't know how you beat that. How do you beat that? Because one of the things that are missing from the dwarves are cavalry and really cheap chaff units, and the Chaos Dwarves have that in spades. Plus, they have all the artillery to go with it. So 5701. They're going to be fantastic in multiplayer. They're going to be absolutely fantastic. A lot of people don't play dwarves right now, even though they're sort of decent because they have some pretty hard counters, but they're not as interesting to play for really good players because they're not dynamic. But the Chaos Dwarves are going to be played in multiplayer all the time. 5701. Did I get that? 5701? Yeah. So 5475. And HE Spearmen are 1090. Rematch. Even Chaos Dwarves are less, yeah. K-Pub, minus the slavery and chaos sacrifices, they aren't terribly evil. Well, evil is a bit subjective, but they are lawful. And so they are like in D&D, they would be lawful evil, which is its own sort of thing. Gaba, hey, orcs and goblins are near endless and easy to use. They are. K-Pub, that's true. It's good for an evil faction. Do Chaos Dwarves get chaotic magic too? Yeah, they do. They'll probably have. I was talking to someone. They'll probably have 3 lores of magic. They'll probably have lore of metal, lore of fire, and they might have something specifically to Hashut. Jake, Pub, are you succumbing as well? Am I corrupting everyone in my chat to cheering for the Chaos Dwarves and getting ready for the Sioux Devil's Heresy? I think they have a mix of metal and fire. Okay, so it might be one lore mix of metal and fire, which would be fine. They could have metal and fire or a mix of metal and fire. Sure. And they could do something interesting to be a little bit different in terms of the schools of magic, to add a few, just like sort of the Vampire Coast has their own lore of magic. They could have something like that for the Daoi, where they could have metal, fire, and some sort of mix that has some specialty spells from Hashut. They could have sort of 3 types of magic user to choose from very easily. 5718. I mean, I just love the demonically infused war machines. Like, they're so fantastic. Like, that is exactly what a dwarf would do. is create a war machine that was awesome and then put a demon in it. Because, it sounds like the dwarves are allies with demons. They're like, hey, let's make this demon do our work forever. That's fantastic. 5718. Okay, Great Swords finished with 5493. And the Spearmen 1207. 210 gold the Spearmen lost, and that was a lot. A lot of gold. And they shouldn't do good. Okay, so here come the red-crested skinks. So I think this is going to be 51, because red-crested skinks are fast, so we'll just put that down to start. And so the red-crested skinks I don't think they're going to pull positive value, because red-crested skinks are not that great. I don't think they're good. They're solid, but I don't know if they'll pull positive value. We'll see. In the battle. K-Pub Sioux Devil is corrupting me. Jake, oh dear, for sure. Gaba, lore of smithing maybe. Or smithing, yep, I agree. That could be it. That would be really cool, Gaba, if they had a lore of smithing, where they kind of made that would be actually really cool and unique to the dwarves. And Games Workshop and CA have shown that they will make up new lores and really to expand the game, which I love. Abe, axes out, lads. Chaos has corrupted some Dowie. Jakku, Dowie friends with demon. What? Hey, Dowie aren't friends with the demons. They use them. They use them. Gabba, the demons are not a living thing, right? Smithing demons into weapons, rune and magic on crack. Yes. Less fiends, more slaves without will. Yeah, that's there. Less demon fiends and more just slaves without a will. Or they're seen like demons really are not a. I know they're sentient in terms of the lore, but they're kind of not because they're so one-dimensional. I mean, I think some of the demons in Chaos, I don't know if they're portrayed as good as demons in D&D. I think some of the demons in D&D are very, very well portrayed but they're still pretty one-dimensional. Wow, Chaos Corruption turned up to 11 today. Continue. So let's go get some red-crested skinks. Let's see how these skinks do. Lizardman. This will be a good test for the skinks. Now, I think they'll rise up the list. They were sort of mid-pack. 60-30. They're sort of mid-pack when they first came out in this test, but they'll probably rise up the list a little bit. We'll see. Okay.
Great swords! Understood.
And boom. 59, 52. I'll call that 51. Good enough. Yeah, they're getting a lot of damage done on the charge. Holy crap. Wow. Well, the skinks are doing not bad. I don't know if yeah, they're going to pull positive value for sure. For sure. They're going to pull very good value here. Wow. Well, maybe the Red Crystal Skinks are better than I thought. Look at that. Look at them go. Holy. 5804. 5804. Great Swords finished with 2561. Holy. That's going to be over 100 gold. 2561? Yep. And the Red Crested Skinks finished with 735. Holy crap. Oh, not all right. But they still took 58 gold off them. And this gets back to why why Dwarf Warriors, Miners, and Longbeards are great weapons. Dwarf Warriors are great weapons, Miners and Longbeards are great weapons really need a buff. Like, look at the Red Crested Skinks are an armor-piercing unit. They pulled 58 gold off of the Great Swords. You know, the Dwarf Warriors were great. And look at the Nasty Skulker pulled 138 gold. The freaking Night Goblin Fanatics pulled 117 gold. And Dwarf Warriors were great weapons, lost 78 gold. You know? Chaos Marauders are great weapons, pulled 11 gold off of them. Like, this is where you really see the weakness in those Dowie. You know, like, the Dowie great weapon infantry have a role to play in anti-large, but it really irritates me to no end that they're so weak compared to their peers in their sort of, we'll call them divisions. Jake, demons are fragments of the gods they hail from, I think. Okay. Gavin, no wonder the Dowie hate their fallen brethren. Too much progressive thinking. The world isn't ready for such madness. Jake, we must stick with tradition. We are traditional people. True. Dowie units need Thorgrim to be useful. Yes. K-Pub. I'd like to see Chaos Dwarfs laying the smackdown on Dark Elves. All evil dwarfs. Much better all around these demons and war machines. Yes. One thing is progress. Gyros. The more advanced weapons, more efficient gunpowder, forging alliance with elves, getting over disagreements we had in the past. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so we've got here Red Crested Skinks. We're testing them. Looks like the Red Crested Skinks are going to pull positive value, so they're going to go up that list fast. So the Red Crested Skinks are mid-pack. They're going to definitely jump up the list. I don't think the Red Crested Skinks are great in the Dowie matchup. But obviously they're really a solid unit for the Lizardmen, for what they can do, and they're sort of niche matchups. But I mean, I could be wrong. That's just my sort of evaluation. They don't worry me, because I think the dwarves have lots of ways to deal with Red Crested Skinks, because Red Crested Skinks are so vulnerable to blasting charges, to quarrelers, to rangers, to a lot of things. And they just straight up lose to Longbeards. 58-13. 58-13. And Greatswords finish with 31-26. So not as bad. Red Crystal Skinks, 853. Okay, so there you go. The Greatswords pulled 5 gold off the Red Crystal Skinks that time. Okay, rematch. Okay, so Abe, but other things to turn to evil and praise the Chaos God. That is not progress, it's treachery. Listen, if you're a Chaos Dwarf, you don't think it's treachery. You think you were abandoned by the dwarven ancestor gods. Gabba, yes, we need more Elgi slaves to prepare for those fake beard lads that our demons need them. Gabba, you have now been corrupted. Well, welcome to the Game 3 preamble. K-Pub, not even Glorious Chaos Magic could put a beard on Elgi.
We are Sigmar's heirs. We obey.
Chaos Dwarves basically put fake metal beards on all demotic tools and war slaves to make them more doughy. I do like, the thing that's great about them is even their hats are funny. Like, they're kind of, everything's funny about them. They're I get the lore, but they kind of, they just remind me so much, and I guess it's because I'm old, of sort of good Spock and evil Spock, where the evil Spock had the weird goatee. It's always in my head when I see them. 58-28. I love all dwarves. All of them. Even the bad ones. 58-28. Okay, Greatswords finished with 3408. Oh, much better for the Greatsword. 3408. And Red Crystal Skinks, 905. There we go. It's going to be pretty even. They pulled the Greatswords pulled 37 gold out of that fight, so it's going to be pretty close. So it's basically, Jake, what heresy do I see in chat now, Abe? Another one is following. Remain in Dowie, you must hold strong. Jake, I just took my eyes off for a minute and then this. It's from a place of love this comes from. It's from a place of love, boys. From a place of love. I love all dwarves. Good or bad. I love them all. Except for Carrick Hearn. God, Carrick Hearn is irritating. But I even love them. I think if they have a DLC with Carrick Hearn, I think it'll be epic. I hope they eventually do. I hope they have DLCs for every single Dowie faction and sub-faction. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Because they could do that. I would buy every one. Even if they charge like $50 for it, I would buy it. 58-20. 20. Great Swords. 29-81. 81. A little closer to even there. And Red Crystal Skinks, 826. 826. Minus 12 gold. So very, very close matchup here. Very close matchup in terms of value. Gabba, even their axes have beards. Like, what's not to like about that, Gabba, right? Jake, beards everywhere. Dark elves versus chaos dwarves. All evil elves versus evil dwarves. It will be, no matter what, any dwarf killing any elf, very satisfying. Very satisfying. Yeah, these both have 90 models. The Red Crystal Skink. And a great sword. I've been testing for a while. How long has the stream been going? I don't even know. Feels like a bit. It's been going for 2 coffees. Whatever that time frame is. Okay, 58-12. 58-12. 58-12. And great swords finished with 29-58. 58. And Red Crystal Skinks, 920. 920. There you go. Minus 10 gold. So the Red Crested Skinks did pull a little bit of gold out of that fight with the Great Swords, but just a little. So we'll go for Marauder Spears. And that'll probably be back at 50. Copy. V. Okay, Marauder Spears. That'll be Chaos Marauders. Not Chaos Marauders. Sorry, Norskin Marauders. Right? Okay. Because we already did Marauders with Great Weapons. End battle. Okay. Oh, sorry, I gotta catch up with chat here. Jake, evil dwarves still beat evil elves if evil dwarves had the population in the lore. Yes. Abe, who else is still a true dwarf? A chaos dwarf is a traitor, not a true dwarf. What do you call a bearded elf? Abe, a Daoified elf? Gabba, a human. K-pop, I hope to see giant hats in Game 3 Chaos Dwarfs. I hope their hats are epic. I agree, K-pop. Jake, who is the true Dowie in this chat? Elves suck, boys. That's what we know. Hey, true Dowie or true... We can all agree on hating elves, no matter what type of dwarf you are. We can all agree on hating elves, I think. Okay, so we've got Norska, right? Norska was the next one, I believe. Norska, where are they? There they are. And we have the Norskin Spears. Marauder Spearmen. Okay. Good anti-large. And they do have their mechanic, which is plus 8 leadership, 11% physical resistance, and melee attack. They might get through it. They have 37 melee defense. We'll see. 70-20. Okay. I still stand with the Ancestor Gods, Abe. You know what? I love my Ancestor Gods. I love them. Elves suck, boys. That's what we know, right? Yes, that's right, Jake. Agreed. Okay. Go. You know what? Maybe I'll have to find myself one of them funny hats for when I play the Chaos Dwarves campaign. Yeah, they're going through their mechanic, but it's taking them too long to get through it. 45 seconds, and they're going through it again. Now they have the leadership and physical resistance. They're lasting quite a long time, eh? For a cheap unit like that, not bad at all, really. 5720 for how long they're lasting. 5720, and the great swords finished with 5649. Oh, they got crushed in terms of gold though. 5649, like badly crushed. 5649, which they should. 1429, 1429. 202 gold they lost. Whew, that is pretty nasty. How many more do we have? We probably have. I need to go and grab something to eat pretty soon. What time is it? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and what I'm going to do is I'll end the stream here because I'm definitely getting hungry. I don't know how long the stream's been going. Let me see. Let me read through the chat. Jake Wu, elves have no beer, and they have no beards, and they have no honor. I agree, Abe. The only elves that won't meet my axe in their face. The elves actually do something to fight chaos. Maybe the Greenskins too, or the undead. Those nicers just drink wine. Wine is for weaklings. Agreed, Jake. That's true. Anyways, that'll be the stream. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you being in here. Thank you for the great chat. I love the chat. Love the discussion of the Chaos Dwarves. Good, bad, or ugly. And I'm probably going to get back on tonight. I do want to finish this as soon as I can. So I'll see you all very soon. And hope you have a good rest of the evening or morning or wherever in the world you are. So have a good one. Okay.